ways that we can report back to employees. So when they give us feedback, how are we reporting back to employees, progress or completion? And admittedly, we've done excellent on caregiver engagement scores and results. The data that she's going to present is based on Q3 data, even though we now have Q4 data as of today. So just be cognizant of that. But she's got a couple elements that she's got to do. So we're recording this portion so that she can have that recording to submit for her assignment and her PowerPoint, and then she's got a written paper and things like that. So appreciate the work that she's done. I'm a graduate of the Weber State MHA program as well, so I'm happy to help her with this class and Capstone project. And hopefully after today, she'll be a little bit more relieved and have time to focus on her other classes before finals. So appreciate you being here today, Michelle. We'll let you take it from here.
All right. Share my screen. Or not. What it's supposed to do, right? Hey. Good stuff. It's not even happening.
Teams downloaded.
Yes.
There you go. Present there.
Present in Teams. Okay. Oh, we're gonna go there. You get to the
Down here, there's this area. Oh, I guess you could do it from that slideshow drop down too. Yeah. Success.
Woohoo! Okay. All right. So good afternoon, everybody. I'm trying to keep my face towards the camera there. So I'm excited to present our strategy for improving communication and engagement at Delta and Fillmore community hospitals. So we specifically wanted to work on this initiative to improve the engagement feedback loop for Share Your Voice. So the things that we'll be covering is the current challenge, the purpose, and then there's a standard operating procedure for you guys to implement this. And so there are 6 steps to that, and then there's a few recommendations. We'll cover that. So we want to talk about the things that are already in place. You have daily leader huddles in real-time updates. You have your Share Your Voice, which is triennial. You also have your Kicking It with Kurt, your town hall, and your newsletter, which is a caregiver brief. You also have your daily interim daily manager interactions and your staff touch points. So those are really important. You also have quarterly check-ins and you have department text groups if you need to get quick communication out. But our challenge is that there are gaps in the reporting and tracking progress on suggestions. So that's, you guys look at share your voice and the data, and you look at solving problems with that, and you are solving the problems, but employees don't seem to be getting that, what problems have been being solved. So here is some positive comments that have been shared on Share Your Voice. So some of them are having a boss that trusts me enough to let me be and that the energy of Intermountain Health is incredible. Or cooperation between all caregivers makes it a great place to work. Or we are always continuing our education and learning how to be better. However, there is some negative comments. One negative comment is floor staff gets all the jobs that no one else wants to do dumped on them when they are already doing all their own nursing responsibilities. For example, the lab not coming to draw their own blood, but complain when the blood doesn't get to them fast enough. So we want to figure out how to address those. I am not sure why that slide is doing that. Okay, well, you guys should be familiar with what this slide was supposed to be. It didn't show up that way yesterday. So at Intermountain, you have a culture of wanting to your caregivers have well-being for your caregivers, for your teams. And you provide this through your simplified processes and the structures that you put in place, because you want to achieve your mission of having the healthiest life possible. And that's for your caregivers as well as for your patients. And so how are we doing in that? Well, you're doing really great. You have outcome metrics of well-being of 81%, and you have inclusion metrics at 89%, which those are excellent numbers. I mean, that's just really great. Many companies would like to see those kinds of engagement from their employees. So that's good to be commended.
Lab, you're needed upstairs. Lab, you're needed upstairs. Wow.
I think that was a nice one.
For entertainment purposes. So, bless you. So anyway, experience versus intent to stay. And so overall, you have 35% who say that IHC meets their expectations. 29% are saying above, and 20% are saying far above. And when you compare that with their intent to stay, you have people at 2 years saying 15% they have intent to stay, and then you have 5+ years at 72% to stay, which is again an excellent numbers, because there's plenty of people who do not have the desire to stay with a company for that long. So the purpose is to enhance the communication around this initiative, to communicate how to do a feedback loop specifically on problem solving and the progress updates that are happening on your problem solving. To achieve this, I've outlined a structured process that includes tools, specifically a dynamic QR code system. It will allow you to put updates of Kicking It with Kurt, and also design it so that you can do things department specific. And these tools will help to foster transparency and continuous learning so that it aligns with your organization. So the first thing that you'll want to do is to step 1, have a monthly content curation. So you'll want to identify the key updates and include share your voice progress, problem resolution, training, and initiatives to help keep employees informed. You will also use tools like, and I'm not sure how you say this, unique code is how I'm going to say it, or Bitly. And I recommend the unique code because it seems to have the best customization features. It allows you to have a URL code that you can change if needed, and you can go in and change things each month. So this will allow you to keep the same QR code, but yet be able to change the information that is in that QR code. There's two different kinds of QR codes. There's static and dynamic. And so you want to make sure that you're using the dynamic so that you can go in and change that. More monthly content would be that you would want to have it include CEO insights, like Kicking It with Kurt, or even the CEO of IHC, if there was a message that needs to send out with that. Training information, progress on issues brought up in Share Your Voice, engagement activity information. This design is for mobile and desktop use, and to ensure accessibility. The placement of the QR codes is tailored by department. For example, nursing would like to have it in their locker rooms, whereas radiology, they very much like emails. I have, in preparing this, I went in and talked to each department of both hospitals and got their feedback on what they liked, whether they would engage, what initiatives they found interesting, and would help motivate them. So step 2 is distribution and placement. So once the QR codes are created, the next step is to distribute them. The physical codes will be placed in high traffic areas specific to each department. Digital links with concise summaries will also be shared. So one of the comments that was made is that if there is more than a paragraph to a specific topic that someone is reading, they weren't going to bother to read it if it's any longer than that. So this would allow you to then just do bullet points so that that hits the main points, and you can still get those people who won't read more than a few sentences. And this ensures that all updates are accessible to all employees regardless of the location or role. Step 3 is an incentive program. So to ensure engagement or encourage engagement, we will implement an incentive program. Employees can earn rewards like reward bucks, free dessert, free drinks, or lunch by engaging with the QR code. A dynamic QR code allows you to track data. So you will be able, or should be able in my research, to track the amount of engagement that is occurring and see if it's progressing and doing well. The need for this engagement in milestones will receive group rewards. So one of the things that was expressed is that some departments were like, hey, well, if we get 80% engagement, then can we have like a group reward? And they were interested in that. So that might be something else that you might want to think about. Step 4 is the continuous feedback loop itself. So maintaining the ongoing feedback loop is critical. Employees can provide suggestions through a feedback button on the QR code webpage with the option to remain anonymous. Additionally, they can request progress updates on issues they've raised. So if they brought up an issue and they want to have updates on how that issue is progressing, whether it's gotten resolved or whether it's, more of a several step process, that they can have updates on that and yet still keep their anonymity if they would like. The monthly reviews of feedback and QR code interaction data will help us to refine our communication approach. Step 5 is the department-specific needs. So every department has unique needs, and even every person. And this step ensures our communication methods are tailored accordingly. For example, an admin liaison for the lab would help facilitate some communication flow, while daily rounding or huddles will provide real-time updates in nursing. QR code scan rates will be tracked to monitor engagement, and adjustment strategies are needed. There was comments made how the lab feels like they're always like they'll find out like the next day that there was this big thing that happened in the hospital and they didn't know anything about it. So they want to have some way so they are more aware of what's happening in the hospital on a regular basis. And Kurt and I have talked about that. He recognizes that there's some kind of issue that's happening in there, and you guys will figure that out. Number 6 is evaluate and adjust. So you'll have the monthly evaluation. You can review your metrics, the QR scans, incentive redemptions, and update communication strategies as needed. The QR scans and incentive redemptions will inform adjustments to our content and deliver methods. Quarterly feedback summaries will share with employees to demonstrate transparency and the progress that's happening. So our outcome is that the ultimate outcome of this initiative is a more informed and engaged workforce, improving communication, tailoring updates to each department, and encouraging participation will foster a culture of continuous improvement and alignment with organizational goals. So, of course, our future results is that we'll have a culture of continuous improvement. So there's some other recommendations that can go along with this feedback loop. As time goes on in any engagement that you produce, you can have participation wane. And so you might want to think of some other different ways to help continue the engagement. So you could do something where you do a gamification. So there's a department leaderboard for the QR scans. And so they can see like, oh, this department's doing better than that department and so on like that. So then maybe they'll want to just friendly competition, basically. And you might want to appoint communication ambassadors. This would be separate from your management. Your management already has a lot for them to do, and they are promoting to share your voice, which is most important. But you can have communication ambassadors, and it doesn't have to be a set person. It can be a different person each time. I would suggest maybe that they can help drive engagement and that they could meet maybe twice a year so that they can help to give some suggestions of how to keep the engagement going and keep people interested. And always making sure that you highlight to performing departments during the Kicking It with Kurt. A long-term recommendation strategy is to have the annual reviews where those communication ambassadors can go. And then we want to ensure that the communication goals are aligning with our organization. We want to have this be effective, and it's also critical to ensure that the communication goals stay relevant and focused. So in closing, ultimately, this initiative is about creating a more connected, informed, and engaged workforce by implementing these strategies, and that we can foster a culture of transparency, collaboration, and continuous improvement. So, and thank you for letting me present to you today. Any questions? Yes? Is there anything that wasn't clear or you'd like more clarification on, or?
I like your QR code idea.
Yeah. I mean, we live in such a digital world now, and people are used to scanning QR codes now, so it kind of seems the way to go.
Mhm.
So,
Has anyone asked us to not use QR codes recently?
no.
If they did, I didn't hear about it. Or I ignored it.
I selectively didn't, because those are the easiest ways for people to jump on
Yeah.
and do things.
And there were departments that, like, okay, for example, you know, radiology, they're in a department where they could put Kicking It with Kurt on and everyone could listen in that department.
Mhm.
But then you go apply that same concept to nursing, that doesn't work because they may, you know, several of them may be in a patient room or several patient rooms, you know, and so then they miss it. You know, and so then how did they get that information if that's the only way that they get to find out about the improvements that you guys are trying to make and that you're trying to help them? And so then they're left with this feeling of like that you don't care, which is not what's happening at all. This allows them to then access that on their own time schedule when they want to, how they want to. It makes it so that they can engage with it as much as they want. If they want to sit down and read for an hour, then and listen to the entire thing, even though it's only 10 minutes, they can do that. If they only just want to read the touch points and be done, you know, however it is that they need to engage, because we all engage with information differently.
Mhm.
And per department as well. And so I tried to make sure that as we prepared this, that we tried to design it in such a way that it would meet everybody's needs and not just a generalized thing, because it was clear meeting with the different departments that everybody had different views and ways of doing that. Radiology was like, well, we don't need a QR code. We just read the emails. We're good with emails. They were good with the status quo, you know, but it was like, clearly not everybody else is. So that was part of the point of this initiative, was not just, you know, creating a way to solve this problem, but to design it in such a way that it could meet all the different needs that were there. So, and I think that it was helpful in the fact that I wasn't specifically connected with the hospital. I think there were comments and things that were made that they might not have opened up and said if they had thought that I was with the hospital and that they might be, you know, they might get in trouble or something like that. So that was a benefit to it too. I think that they knew they could just say what they thought. And that's what we wanted. We wanted people's real comments, the real thoughts. So any other questions? All of you online, do you have any questions? Not hear anybody, so I'm assuming we don't have any. That's Michelle.
Great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So you're welcome to stay and participate in the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
Or if you want to head back home, you're welcome to do that too.
Okay.
And get some food and just tell them you're with the admin meeting and they won't charge you.
All right.
So,
I would normally say, well, I'll just stay because it's great to engage with people and for the learning, but because of the weather,